talk about how the Warriors week went. There's your tongue twister. Warriors week went. They lose on Monday, the past Monday on the 13th at Toronto, 104-101. That game was happening while we were recording last week. Then they get the win at Minnesota on Wednesday, 116-115. They get the win versus Washington, 122-114. And then earlier today, the game ended about an hour and a half ago. They got absolutely demolished by Boston. It was a 40-point L. Yeah, that was a
hate crime on Martin Luther King Day here.
Yeah, that was a. I think Boston shouted "pocket check," and just started stabbing. Like it was 125-85, a 40-point loss. If you're on YouTube, you see the score. It was embarrassing, frankly. Like it was bad. And that game was basically as soon as Steph came out of the game for his, traditional, last half of the first quarter rest. That was it. That's when Boston kind of started putting pedal to the metal, and they never looked back, man. It never got close at all after that. And game was rough, man. It was a rough one to watch. Thank goodness I had my work to distract me. I was on call, so I had to answer a couple of emails while that was. So I didn't have to watch all of the pain. I just had to have it on in my peripherals. Use your peripherals, man.
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, again, we've said this last week too. They're the worst looking 500 ball club I've seen.
Yeah, like that's what they are. They're 21-21. They're in 11th place in the West. Phoenix is actually 10th at 21-21 as well. But through whatever tiebreakers they have, Phoenix is holding that 10th spot. So if this is it, man, if they don't make a move, and this is the team we got, I'm starting to not see how it happens. Even getting into getting into the playoff tournament, I don't even know if it's going to be a thing, as it stands right now. There's got to be a move somehow. You got to shake something up. You got to make something happen if you want to actually have any chance at all at, making the playoffs.
They're just in the worst possible spot you can be in.
And they got no money. You
got no cap room. You got no draft capital. And then this season, you're just mid. You're just stuck in the middle. And then if you bring any of this back next year, unless you add a legit superstar, you're just another mid-season, and until you, like I said this last week, the smartest thing, if you want to win again, is probably just rip it down to the studs, get rid of everybody. But then you're saying goodbye to all your favorites,
Yeah.
So otherwise you're just going to watch them suffer.
This is the price to pay for greatness. Sometimes, is once it's done, it's kind of rough,
Wow.
I'm glad we got 4 chips, man.
Cooper Flag looks good in blue and white. You might look good in blue and gold. You know what I'm saying? Like,
not happening. That is like the if you whoever lottery ends up with the number 1 pick, that is not being traded.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying traded. I'm saying take out the rest of the season if you're not going to make any trades. I don't think if it was football, yes. But because of the lottery, I don't even think they can get into the lottery. I don't even think they can win the number 1 pick.
Yeah, the odds are so astronomical.
Right.
It is stacked against, the better of the non-playoff teams. So that's going to be rough, man. If they're super, super fucking lucky and somehow get it, great. Awesome. I'm not counting on it though. Like I'm going to operate as if we're going to be picking, 14th or something like that, or whatever the math is, 12th, whatever. I think that the Warriors are probably going to be, somewhere around 10 to 12 is where they're sitting right now, I think. Because of.
So let me ask you this, in the off season, because I don't think you're going to be able to really do anything mid-season. You're not going to be able to add anything mid-season. So what are you doing in the off season? You got to ask, what are you doing with Curry?
Yeah, well, Curry's not going anywhere, unfortunately. Like fortunately Green. And unfortunately, Draymond
just signed that extension. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's tough because these guys all have multi-year extensions, and getting somebody to pick up that tab, you're gonna have to trade money for money at that point. Like, so you got to bring on somebody. Yeah, Wiggins is. I mean, I don't know when his contract is up exactly, but I think his is closer to up than Draymond or Steph's. So,
it's just bleak. Like, I don't really know what.
I think we got another year of mid, man. I mean, unless some miracle happens, you know, if you're able to, like what they did with Chris Paul, right? To bring Chris Paul in because he only had 1 year left on his contract plus the player option versus you had just signed Jordan Poole. So the money was still the same. It was just the years that were different, right? So if you're able to bring somebody in with only like the 1 year remaining on their contract, you bring in that expiring contract, but is it like equal money to Wiggins or Draymond? That's the only way you could flip it and make it work. I don't see anybody willing to make that move though. You know, like
so you got
move with us.
Curry expires in the 26-27 season.
Okay, so he's got
Wiggins,
2 more years after this.
Draymond also have 2 more years. Okay. But then you have Kyle Anderson also for 2 more years.
Okay.
You have Buddy Hield for 3 more years.
Okay, but those guys are cheaper contracts. Well.
They're just under 10 million a year.
Yeah. Okay.
And then just over 10 million a year in their third years. And then you have Moses Moody, who signed his deal. So he has 11, 12 and a half, and 13.
Okay.
I mean, you just don't have a lot of
There's
guys,
no wiggle room. Yeah.
You know, who's going to take Buddy Hield? Who's going to take, you know, any of these guys? Like, you just don't have a lot of options. And
I think it's paying for 2 more years, possibly.
I do too.
Yeah. And you know what? We got 4 chips out of this.
Right.
I remember the before times, you know, it's a decade ago now at this point, the before times, but I remember them, you know?
Yeah.
It was rough. It was really bad.
Well, for somebody like that's still like the Warriors historically from when I was born to right now, like 2/3 of my life, they sucked.
Yeah, exactly. 3/4 actually, if you want to like,
you know?
Yeah. So they've been great for the last 10 years, you know, excluding this year. And then there was the 2020 season, but then you had a spike year in 2007 here. And then you had Run TMC. So like it's right around of the last, you know, let's say since 1976. I don't know exactly how many winning seasons they have had, but almost all of them have happened in the last decade, you know, the last decade, dozen years or so. So I am super thankful for this iteration of the Warriors. I never thought it was actually going to ever happen. And I'm going to let Curry ride off into the sunset however long he wants to play. If he wants to keep playing and he wants to keep playing here, keep signing him. I don't care. Do it. Fine. I'll worry about the back end. Anybody else though, even Draymond, they are able to be let go and traded or whatever. But Curry's the only one that I'm giving open checkbook to. He gets the Kobe treatment as far as I'm concerned. He can do whatever he wants and retire as a Warrior. And he
just
can
no helicopters.
No helicopters.
Do you think, I mean, I feel you, Vince, but what does Curry want to do?
That's the other part. If Curry wants to still win,
Draymond want to suck ass for the next 2 years.
That's the other part too. Yeah, I don't know, man. And if Curry's willing to stick around through a rebuild or whatever, I'm happy to have him, and he can make sure that we stay above whatever salary cap floor.
If he says trade me, like, how do you? I don't even like with that.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, you do it. You do.
I mean, you do it, but it's
Joe Lacob wouldn't even think.
59.6 million next year.
Yeah, so
and 62.5 million in his final year. So, how the NBA? You got to get value back.
Yeah, money for
money. You got to have your contract. So now you got to take on $60 million next year. So you could do 3 players for 1 or 4 players. Like
it's probably going to
money
take,
needs
the money
to be there.
Money needs to match within a mill or two. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know that Curry's ever going to ask for a trade before the final year of his contract. So he's got 2 more years after this one. I think next year he doesn't ask for a trade. Maybe in the off season, if he still thinks he has a shot at winning a title, even if it's not here at Golden State, that's when you start entertaining that possibility, especially if he asks for it.
Yep.
But before then,
if he asked for it, I think the Warriors would do everything they could to get him out because of what we just discussed. I think they know that there's no moves.
Yeah.
There's no moves to get back to the top.
We're locked in salary cap hell right now.
Yeah.
And that is that's what the salary cap is designed to do. We have been fortunate as Warriors fans to kind of dodge the worst parts of it for a long time, but the tab is due.
Don't worry, guys.
It happened with the Sharks. It happened
2 years from now. They're going to retire. They're gone. They're off the books, and we're going to get Bob Myers back. Bob Myers just didn't want to deal with this mess.
Yeah. He can come in and be the hero and clean it up after Dunleavy is the sacrificial lamb. Yeah.
I mean, there's no moves for Dunleavy to make. Like, it's hard to judge him because there's nothing to be done. It's hard. They're in cap hell, as you said, Vince.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, and we're already going to start getting the articles about I literally just got a Bleacher report about
sweeping
notification saying, do Dubs need sweeping changes? And it looks like it's, people are debating that right now as we talk. So we're not the only ones talking about it. It's happening on all the platforms that talk Warriors. This conversation is starting to happen now. So welcome to that conversation. This upcoming week, they're at Sacramento on Wednesday. They're back home on Thursday against Chicago, and then they got the Lakers on Saturday. So the NBA is calling this rivalry week. And really, I think it's obviously the Chicago one's not really a rivalry, but you get the Lakers, which is, that's a SoCal, NorCal rivalry type thing. Totally get that. And then you have Sacramento, so you have your NorCal rivalry as well. So I kind of get that. And
the Lakers are just like the Warriors right now. I mean, LeBron's come out and just said publicly, the other day that the way this roster is constructed for the Lakers, they have to play perfect basketball in order to win games. That's exactly what the Warriors are dealing with right now. And I mean, I know LeBron takes a 1-year, 2-year contract every year, but he's a lot of money. They did a lot of trades in the past couple of years, and they're paying these guys now, and they don't have any draft capital. So they're dealing with the same issue. So
with the Lakers, I got their numbers here. You got LeBron making $48.7 million, Anthony Davis $43.2 million. So those are your two
the big money contracts.
So and LeBron has 1 more year next year at $52.6 million.
Okay, so that accelerates quite a bit.
So I mean, it's the same thing. And then when you're not getting playing time from Anthony Davis, who's constantly injured,
that's
you're in the
money.
Same exact thing. And then they have young players too. They gave Rui Hachimura the money. They brought back Austin Reeves. So you got some guys that showed promise, and they just look kind of mid right now. So, so same exact.
Yeah. So basketball in California, huh? What a time. Ugh, bummer. Speaking of bummers, Draymond Green has a calf injury, and he's going to be reevaluated in a week. He's going to miss at least the next 3 games. He only played 3 minutes on that game on Saturday against Washington. And then he obviously didn't play in the game earlier today. And so he's going to be out for the next week. And then we'll revisit at that time. And I guess that's basically it. I mean, the Heat are still looking to trade Jimmy Butler, and I think Jimmy Butler wants to get traded out. So I think they're both done with each other at this point. We'll see.
I love how they
landing.
revealed the Miami Vice jerseys, and Butler was the first person in that video, and it just seemed like, man, he is not wanting to be here. He's held hostage at this point.
Yeah. Oh boy. And I don't like I mean, we talked about it before. I don't know that the Warriors can swing that move to make it happen. They got, like, money wise, I think that they could get close to making it work. But I don't think Miami wants what we're offering. So, you know, we'll see, and that's part of the reason why I don't think him coming here is happening.
Yeah, agreed.